Thank you.
Okay, so I want to go through a couple things today. Wrap up parabolas. We'll go through. I think I wanted to test on Tuesday. I think we're probably looking at more like Wednesday next week. Which is, that's all right. No later than Wednesday. Yeah. Oh yeah. Module 4 test. The hardest parts by far is the stuff that we're doing right now. The rest of it is piece of cake. Not a big deal. Very little in terms of like stuff that processes. It's just a matter of doing some algebra that you already really know how to do in a different context. Not a big deal. This is 80 to 90% of the work of Module 4 finishes with the second, circles and parabolas. Okay, so let's spend a little time with these parabolas and make sure we're getting up to speed with this. So something like this, we're going to write the simplified standard form equation of the parabola with focus at the point 6, 2 and directrix y equals -4. Let's practice this process. So get your notes out. If you want some graph paper, I've got some here. Let's start off talking about what the standard forms are, right? So if we're talking about a vertical parabola that opens up or down, what's the standard form? Which variable is being squared? X. Good. That's a normal x type. So that would look like this, right? Okay. So we get x minus h squared equals 4p times the quantity y minus k. If one that's being squared goes on the left in standard form, right? Okay, what if we're going to tip it on its side? So it's horizontal. All we do, then it's the y variable that's being squared, and so instead of the x minus h, we trade that for a y minus k. So y minus k squared equals 4p times the quantity x minus h, right? Okay, no big deal. H and k are the coordinates of the vertex. P determines the shape. P is the distance from where to where? Vertex to focus. Good, okay? All right, so when we do these, you got to take your time because it's so easy to make a mistake on these. And they're small mistakes, but they have a pretty big impact. So the first thing we want to do is probably get our picture drawn, right? Let's draw a sketch. Start with the directrix and then place the focus relative to the directrix, right? Okay, so Abel, you tell me, please, what kind of a line is that going to be, my directrix? Horizontal, straight line. Straight was sort of implied by the line part, but horizontal is what I want. Yeah, there you go. Right, so it's a horizontal line, and we know that because this is essentially telling us the y-intercept, isn't it? It tells us it cuts the y-axis at -4. That's a great way to remember it. So if it cuts the y-axis, it's horizontal. So let's draw that line. Oops. And label it. So we've got the line y equals -4. Now we just need to know, and waste a little paper when you're doing this. It's worth, you got to make sure you get this drawing, do it well enough that you can use the drawing. Where does the point go relative to the directrix? If it's a horizontal line, we're really just answering the question, does it go above or below, right? Which one?
Below.
Why below?
Because it's negative.
It should go above. 2 is bigger than
Okay, good. 2 is bigger than -4, right? The point has a larger y value, so it's going to be, does that make sense? It's above? Okay, so our point goes up here. We're going to label that F for focus, and it's got coordinates 6, 2. Okay, so then where does the vertex go? In between. So it's just going to be, right about there, right? Okay. The parabola is going to open up or down then. It's going to open up, right? The parabola is going to look like that, right? So is P going to be positive or negative? It's going to be positive, right? Because a positive P means a parabola that opens in the positive direction. So vertically, a positive P opens up, negative opens down. Horizontally, how would it open? What's positive? What's the positive horizontal direction?
Right.
To the right. So if it opens sideways to the right, that would also be a positive P. Left would be negative, right? So we already know that much. We need to figure out what the coordinates of the vertex V are going to be. Okay, so somebody tell me one that we know and why.
6.
We know 6. We do. Good. Because these points line up vertically, don't they? Right? So we know that the x-coordinate's going to be the same for both the focus and the vertex. How are we going to find the y-coordinate for the vertex?
Add those two together, divide by two.
Yeah, good. We just want to average the y values of the focus and the director extent, right? It's got to be the middle y value. Same x value as the focus, average of these two y values, though. So what do we get when we average those? What's 2 plus -4?
So you get
-2 divided by 2? -1. Right, so those guys tell us that that k is -1. What's h? 6. Good. So now all we got to do is find p. It's easy, right? P starts at the vertex and moves up. So how far do we go from V to F? We're moving vertically. How far? 3. From -1 to 2, right? Now I'll teach you a little trick here. If you don't have to do it this way, but some people like to have almost like a formula, right? Whenever you're calculating the change in a quantity, you always calculate that by the final value minus the starting value. If you want to calculate the change in temperature over a period of time, or you're going to calculate, anything you're calculating, that's always how you do it. So when we want to calculate P, it's always going to be the final value, which is the focus number, right? So it's going to be the F number minus the V number every time. Okay? Every time. So in this case it would be P would equal 2 minus -1, which is +3. Now we've got them all, we just plug them in, right? This tells me H and K, so let's summarize what we know. H equals 6, K equals -1, P equals 3. So then if we just plug that stuff into our standard form, this is a vertical parabola, so the x is the variable that's being squared. What do we get? So this becomes the quantity x minus 6 squared equals 4 times 3. So that whole thing is going to be a 12. And then we get y plus, y minus negative becomes +1. So that's our answer, right? Right there. Okay? No big deal. Okay. Yes?
Yesterday, when we were doing that, when we did the 12, when we put the 12 next to the parenthesis, it said marked it wrong because we didn't put like the dot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
On one of them? Tell me which one it was. I just need to go change the setting. It shouldn't do that. Shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I think it was 2.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. When we get working, show me and I'll fix it. Yeah, it shouldn't do that. Shouldn't have to put a dot there. Okay. You try that one. You try that one. I don't care if you want to work with somebody. That's fine. I just want to make sure you can get one of these successfully before we're. Yes. Start back here. So start with the picture, right? Oh, for this one right here? Okay, so P is going to be the start. There's the vertex. X is the same.
I know exactly what you guys are saying.
We know it's positive.
You know what's up though?
Okay,
This
it's
is
sideways.
I
I mean, it would be the y, sorry. It's the y here. Sideways it would be the x. Right, see what I'm saying? Because if it's a vertical parabola, the arrow's gonna point straight up, so only the y is changing. It's a horizontal parabola. One of them must be going sideways, only the x is changing. Yes. Sure. Well, give it has to be halfway. So you're gonna put focus first, start with directors and focus. There you go. Perfect, just like that. There you go. Because I know what I mean. Start with the picture. The correctors is vertical. Ooh, look at that, all right.
I have one of them right. That's one of them.
Is that the graph for that one?
Same numbers, same stuff.
Oh, okay, your graph.
But everything else, there were like two others.
You don't even need to.
What's that? Sorry, B minus.
I honestly think it might confuse the issue a little bit because it's just adds more stuff.
Zero is in between two numbers. But if it goes like 20, 5,
Okay.
then it
Yep. Yeah, how come? You're right. Well, it's because -7, because you're looking at this. One on the left or right on this.
The third number is the first three of them are like
Good job.
one,
Just gotta figure out that.
3, 0, and then the next one, 4, 2,
Okay, I'm coming over this way.
Yeah, because the first two.
Yes,
Each
it
of
is.
these are everything after that. Now
Okay,
let's
let
just
me
like zero.
hit over here.
yeah, nature valley.
See your picture.
Peanut butter.
Okay. So, -1. X equals -1. Okay, so it's the focus. Should we just write it out? Yeah, it is. Aha, yeah, okay, okay. So then you'd want to average. So the math would be the same. You're going to average the X values. So -1 plus -7 is. Yeah, about 2. There you go.
He knows what I said.
Is that
You get translate, it's not that
That's
good.
it. So now you know H and K, right? Yeah, good, now you just gotta find which goes from D, so sketch what the parabola is gonna look like, just so you know. Good, so it opens left, so it should be positive or negative. Negative, good, and it will be. Because it goes from- Yeah, negative. Yeah, good.
Did you guys get all
Good,
three?
you got it. No, you're good.
Slow doesn't it?
That's exactly. Oh, you did, you're right, switch those around. Yep, you did.
Ever since like the first, like the second and third grade.
Well, okay, you probably wanna. So, no, it always starts with the vertex and goes out. But remember, focus is really on this, and the vertex.
You're not missing out.
I don't see any little black seeds.
Negative, good, it's a parabola, opens to the left.
Wait, was that,
Oh, yeah,
is
you-
that what
textually,
they
it just goes down.
-4 even. Because now, listen to these points, so this is actually -1. This is the focus. -7.
I already know. You showed me like 2 pictures already, so.
Okay, so what's the vertex? It's coordinates. Same white board. But I've got it.
That's what I got.
Oh, my God.
It is?
You showed my notes.
Really?
I'm with her almost every day.
Oh. So then these
Well,
are just be this.
I always thought
Right, exactly. There you go, so -7 minus -4 would be negative.
Friends in the airport.
Good, how we doing?
I don't know. I knew he was there, I just didn't know where he
Good,
was.
get your wires, there you go. How are you?
Goodbye, 111.
Okay, only one mistake. One mistake.
That's just super easy.
This is,
It's hard, but it's
this is the line. Okay.
Because
I kinda just played it down.
So this should be March. And so there's,
he seems the strongest.
where's the, so that's
Oh, yeah, you wanna learn
the,
about it? I can teach you.
that's the focus list.
You wanted me to help? How do you think I'm gonna know what I'm doing?
That box is negative. 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 And you see, because it has to go from G to F, so it's going up. Okay, there you go. How we doing? It's pretty good, pretty good. There's a few little things here that you got. Good, so is that good? Negative 4 is H, H is good. P is negative 3 or positive.
I've already
Negative.
the second.
See why? Okay, and this is a parabola that opens sideways, right? So our standard form is that the y has to be the variable. Okay, so now. Right, but so it's y minus.
Where's our recess?
I was cheating just to get plus.
What do you guys on right now?
Oh, are you not in?
Right, because
So you should probably-
positive, so we're subtract, right, we're subtracting
Just go over my trees and that's
This.
and then P is negative 3, so what's
Oh,
four
yeah,
times
but
P?
like that.
Well, there you go. Negative. Minus negative. Good, you got it. Okay.
So right now,
Beautiful.
you guys using my
Yep, looks good. How do we do? Well, let's see, what do we got?
No, I don't.
What? You give it emergency test. This last period?
Okay, where's the?
You're good. Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna.
Don't worry. Don't worry, buddy.
I'm gonna do it now,
Right here. Okay. Okay.
This is
So the picture looks good. Negative 1, there's the focus,
I've been.
which has
it depends on which
coordinates -7, -8. Okay, so here's our vertex. What are the coordinates? Which coordinate is, do we already know? The 8, right, 8, because they line up horizontally, right? So you know if they line up horizontally, that means that the y value has to be the same, right? So they need to right away. That's it. So to find out what that is, we've got to have the x values, the outside x values is the middle one, right? So what's negative? Yeah, -4, isn't it? It's -7 and -5. -8, right? Divided by 2 is -4. Good. And so here's our parabola.
I was kind of upset when I heard
Now, P is going to be positive or negative? The parabola is opening in the negative direction. Right would be positive horizontally, and the left is negative. And we can see that here because P goes from the vertex to the focus, right? So what's P going to be going from -4 to -7? Well, that's -3, right? Well, backwards 3. So then H is negative. P is -3. Figure out which of those two equations are we going to use? Plug it in.
as well as whatever line you have.
I think the ghetto has.
Okay. How do you do?
It's really well said. So if you start, that's where if you start becoming a president, like a president, then one tricks. Are you gonna quit?
Yeah, you like all of this?
That's your P.
Oh, there we go.
What about prima foundation?
And even with the thing you said,
So much happy.
And then this.
yeah, but it's.
H and K are just vertex.
Why does everybody
Even with X and Y are everything's in the
But you're like, I get trained here too, and you said,
You like
you're
to
pressing
play
hard.
They still have
People kill them. If you never start,
all of them.
boom.
Okay, here we go. Have a quick look. Here we go. Folks up here, please. Right here?
Yeah.
Sir, let's get rid of that, please. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so we gotta draw our picture. Horizontal or vertical directrix? Vertical, because it's cutting the x-axis at -1, right? So here's our directrix. Let's label it. And the focus goes to the left or the right?
What?
To the left, okay? There's the focus with coordinates -7, 8, right? Okay, I want everybody's attention up here, please. Even if you did this, I still want, it's good to rehearse this in your mind. Okay, so Justin, where's the vertex go?
Halfway between.
Halfway in between? Okay, so which of those, there's V, which of those, actually, which way is the parabola open?
Left.
Left. So P should be, have what sign?
Negative.
Negative, good. Which of those two coordinates of the focus is it going to share with the vertex?
-7.
8. How come it's 8? They line up horizontally.
Yeah, so that's gonna be the.
So the y values are shared, aren't they? They have the same y value. So that's an 8, and now I've got to just average the x values, right, of the directrix and the focus. So what's the average of -1 and -7? What's that going to be? -4. Okay, so what do we got going then? We know, let's keep a list of what we know. H equals, no, -4. K equals 8, and then what about P? How far do we have to travel from V to F? We're going from negative, X values change, Y stays the same. So X values change from -4 to -7. Good. So this is a sideways parabola, so we're going to plug into the standard form where the y variable is squared, right? So we get y minus k squared equals 4p times x minus h. We'll just plug in. So we get y minus 8 squared equals 4p. Well, p is -3. What's 4p? -12 times x minus -4 becomes x plus 4. Done. Okay? Good. All right, so let's look at a couple graphing ones. This should be a really, really simple one. Should go very fast. Okay, so conveniently, this quadratic equation is given to us in standard form. So we should be able to just tell what the values of h and k and p are by inspecting the equation, right? So tell me something about this one. Here's my equation. So which variable is being squared? X. So does that mean it's going to be open vertically or horizontal?
Horizontally. I mean,
Vertically, because it's like,
it's not the one.
right, it's like the plain old, algebra 1 parabola, y equals x squared, which just opens up, right? Okay, so then tell me, by just inspecting this and comparing it to our horizontal standard form, what's the value of h? H is 3, isn't it, right? Because that's what's being subtracted from x. What's k? -2, good. And how about this one? So if -16 is 4p, it's -4, good, because we're going to set that equal to 4p and solve. All I ever do is just divide that number in front of the quantity on the right by 4. -16 divided by 4 is -4. So let's remind ourselves about those things. Put them over here. H is 3, K is -2, P is -4, and we said that it's going to be a vertical parabola, right? If P is negative, does it open up or down? Down, right? So we know, doesn't that summarize right there what we're looking for pretty well? Agree? Okay, so let's find it. So we want a vertex at 3, -2, opening upward. So tell me when. Okay, there's 3, -2. Oh, it's opening downward. That's what we want maybe, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so over 3, down 2, P is negative, so it opens down, that's it. Okay, that's it. No big deal. Okay, let's try another one. Try this guy. Okay, same deal. You tell me by inspecting that equation, what's
Y is being squared.
y is being squared, so it's
Horizontal.
horizontal, isn't it? Good, it's horizontal. So
X
what's
positive,
h?
-5.
Uh,
Oh, sorry, -3.
-3. H goes with x, right? Okay, can we got too much. I got too much extra communication. It might be good, but it's just too confusing. Everybody, please focus up here. So H is it's telling us that H is -3 because H is the number being subtracted from x, right? What's K?
-5.
-5. Okay. What's P?
2.
Yeah, 8 divided by 4 is 2, and it's going sideways, right? If the P is positive and it's a horizontal parabola, which way is it opening?
Right.
To the right. So there's our summary of what we're looking for, right? So let's find it. Okay, so back 3, down 5. Okay, well there's back 3, down 5, but it's opening vertically, so that's no good, right? You can disqualify that one. Same thing, opening vertically, no good. Okay, well there's one. Let's look at this guy. So our vertex is -3, -5. Does that fit though? What's wrong about it? It opens in the correct direction, but something's wrong. What is that red point? That's the focus, right? So what's the value of P for this parabola that's graphed? 1. What's ours? 2. Doesn't work. Gotta keep looking. Oops. How about that? That looks pretty good, doesn't it? Right? -3, -5, and notice this time that P is 2, so it works. Okay? All right. Next. Okay, those are no big deal, right? Those are nice because we can see H and K and P just by, it's already in standard form, so it's easy to find those values. What about something like this, though? This is a little harder because this time it's not written in standard form. So what do we have to do? Put it in standard form. Yeah, we got to put it in standard form so we can see what H and K and P are, right? Okay, so let's go through that process. What's the variable that's being squared? X is being squared. So we're going to want to put this into the form. We're going to put this into the form x minus h squared equals 4p times y minus k, right? So we've got to do the algebra to make it look like that, which means we've got to complete the square for x, doesn't it? Right? Because we got an x minus h squared, right? So let's gather the x terms on the left. So we get x squared minus 8x space, right? That's how we set up completing the square. Equals. Well, I've got to take the y term and the -68 and push those to the right. So what do I end up with? -12y, because I got to subtract that one to the other side and positive 68. Good. Okay. So then we just need to complete the square on the left side and then factor out a -12 on this side, and we're done, right? Okay, so what's the number, what's h gonna be?
Negative.
Negative 4, right? Because I've got this negative 8, half of that is negative 4, right? And so then what number do I have to add to both sides?
16.
16. Got to add the blue number 16. Good. So then what do we have? Then we've got x minus 4 squared equals negative 12y plus 68 plus 16 is what, 84?
Yeah.
Okay, the last thing I've got to do is factor out a negative 12, right? I've got to undistribute a negative 12 from both terms on the right. Okay, so then we'd end up with x minus 4 squared equals negative 12, and what's going to be left over? Well, negative 12, if I distribute, negative 12 times what is going to give me back negative 12y? Y. Okay, that one's pretty obvious. What about over here? Negative 12 times what is positive 84? No, 7, but what's the sign going to be? Negative. Negative times negative is positive, right? That process, I feel like this is something in Algebra 1 that maybe you guys didn't do enough of. So it's not going to be as comfortable as maybe, I would expect it would normally be. Everything else has been pretty good, but this one seems like it's been a little rusty. Yeah.
So, how is negative 4 not positive? Because it's a negative 8, and in that equation, it's supposed to be negative, or minus h, so it's
Well,
negative and a negative.
Okay, don't confuse the two processes. Completing the square just says if I start with x squared minus 8x, what's b? Negative 8, right? So half of b is negative 4. Okay? So really what we're doing here, by the way, when we undistribute a negative 12, we're really just dividing it. I could also do it this way. I could say negative 12y divided by negative 12 is y. Positive 84 divided by negative 12 is what? Negative 7. Good, right? And so from that information right there, now we're really where we were in the last problems. Now we can identify what's h. What's h? Here's my standard form, right? Casey, what's h? Almost. It's not negative 4, it's 4. Good. Because it's what's being subtracted. What's k? 7. And if 4p is equal to negative 12, what's p? Negative 3. Good. And we said that x was being squared, so it's vertical. If p is negative and it's a vertically opening parabola, how does it open? Down. So that's our summary right there, isn't it? All we have to do is find it. Okay, so let's see. Well, it's over 4, up 7 to get to the vertex. Tell me when you see a good one. Okay, there's a pretty good one. Over 4 and up 7, but what's wrong? Opening up. There we go. Over 4 and up 7, there it is. Right? Okay?
So is with that one, with the negative 3, the 3 really is Newtonian?
Yeah, good question. Good point. So on this one, because I'm not giving you the focus, on this kind of a problem, I would never give you 2 of them that had the same vertex and expect you to know which one was the right one, right? Because you'd have to know where the focus was in order to, from the graph, right? So on this one, all you're trying to do is just identify where is the vertex and what's the sign of p, okay? That's different from something like this last one. Okay, this is one where I'm giving you the focuses, right? So now we actually could use the value of p. So we try this one. Let me try this one. So we got to complete the square. Is this going to, which variable is being squared?
Y.
Y, okay. So then this is one that's going to fit the standard form y minus k squared equals 4p times x minus h, right? So we're going to complete the square for which variable? Y, good, so we'll collect the Y terms on the left, space, and then on the right side of the equal sign, we'll put all the other stuff, right? Okay, go. Yeah. Yeah. Quick look. So you told me we're going to collect the Y terms on one side, right?
Yes.
So Y squared minus 2Y space equals, now we gotta add 4X to that side, and we gotta add 15 to that side, right? And so we're gonna complete the square. So what is that going to factor into? Ah, good. B is -2, so it's going to be y minus 1 squared. But y minus 1 squared factors from y squared minus 2y plus what number? 1. 1. Good. So I got to add 1 to both sides, right? So then on the other side, we get 4k plus 16, right? Okay, so I've got to factor that 4 out on this side. If I undistribute a 4 from each of those terms, what am I left with? K plus what? No. 4. Right? Because 16 divided by 4 is 4. In other words, 4 times what is 16? 4. Right? So then there's my final standard form equation for that parabola. So all we got to do is just summarize it. What's h? Oops. Hang on. That's a 4.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be an x.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got. Oh. Okay. Try again. So what's h?
4.
No. -4. Hey, please look up here. Look. We almost got this. Last one more minute. H is -4. What's k?
1.
1. Right? What's subtracted from y?
It's always the opposite of this.
Yeah, always the opposite of the sign. Good.
Except P is just what.
And so 4p equals 4. So what's p? 4 times 4 is 4.
Oh, 16.
1, right?
Oh,
Because
that's
this
4
thing right
times
here is equal to 4p, right? 4p equals 4, so p must be 1. Okay, the y is being squared, so it opens horizontally. P is positive, so it's got to open sideways, right? Okay, so now let's see what we get. Okay, let's find it. So we're back 4, up 1.
No, I did.
Okay, how's that?
That's the one.
Back 4, up 1, but then what would P be?
Oh, no, it's not.
P would be
It's
2.
This is the next one.
That one right there. Good. That's it. Okay?
I know, like when